Good morning. We are going to start our syllabus with Unit 1, that is Thermodynamics 1. In this, we will see first partial molar property. From that, we will see the meaning of chemical potential, which will be useful in deriving Gibbs-Duhem equation. We will see the variation of this chemical potential with temperature and pressure. We will see the concept of fugacity and activity, its determination with physical significance, also in terms of van der Waals constant. We will see the concept of activity and activity coefficient. Then we will study different chemical equilibrium, especially homogeneous equilibria, and derive Van 't Hoff reaction isotherm. In this, we will study the relation between Kp, Kc, Kx and its integrated form. Now the main objective of studying this unit is, many equations which are used so far can be applied only to the closed system of constant composition. This limitation simply means that you have been dealing with a special case. In general, to fix the state of a system, the value of two independent variables and the mole number of the component must be fixed. It is these latter variables that we have been able to neglect because we have discussed only closed system of fixed composition. Now we will extend our discussion to the more general real system and apply the equations developed. We know that many properties of the ideal solution do not change on mixing. For example, volume. Volume remains same, means we can say that V is equal to V1 plus V2. That means that the volume is an additive property. But for a general system, however, the volume as well as other property is not additive. Volume of a mixture is not equal to the sum of volume of individual pure component, that is V is not equal to V1 plus V2, but the number of moles or composition of individual constituent must be considered. That means V should be equal to N1V1 plus N2V2. So we will discuss the partial molar property now. We know that there are two types of properties, that is extensive and intensive property. Extensive property is the property which depend on the total amount of substance or total amount of the different constituents of the system. Mass, volume, energy, entropy, free energy are extensive properties. On the other hand, intensive property does not depend on total mass or total amount of different constituents of the system. Pressure, temperature, density, refractive index, these are all intensive properties. The total mass of the system is extensive property, but mass per mole is intensive property. Volume per mole, energy per mole, these are all intensive properties. The total mass of a closed and isolated system always remains constant. The change in thermodynamic property is due to change in the state of the system and not due to addition or removal of the matter. But for open system, as the mass or the composition of the constituent present vary, it is necessary to take into consideration the contribution of each constituent. So Jean-Lewis introduced the concept of partial molar property for studying open systems. Now, for a closed system of fixed composition, we have different properties. Let us take G, that is a natural function of temperature and pressure. So we can say G is a function of temperature and pressure. So total differential will be dG will be del G by del T dt at constant pressure and del G by del P dP at constant temperature, which we know that minus SdT plus VdP. But when the same property we consider in an open system, we have to take into consideration the amount of various constituents present. That's why G or any other property that will be not simply function of temperature and pressure, but it will be the function of temperature, pressure along with the various constituents present, because we are dealing with the open system in which the amount of the constituent can vary. Okay, so the change in such property dx, that will be not simply these two terms, but we have to take into consideration the variation of all the constituents also. So that's why the equation takes this form. But when we consider it at constant pressure temperature, these two terms terms vanishes. And we will get this expression. What is this x1 bar, x2 bar, x3 bar? That is del x by del n1, del x by del n2, del x by del n3. Means change in partial molar property or change in the property with change in that particular component, constituent of that component. So this is known as partial molar property. This is partial molar property. So it can be concluded that partial molar property, it signifies the change in extensive property with change in number of moles of constituent at constant temperature and pressure and other number of moles. Because most chemical, biological, geological process occur at constant temperature and pressure, it is convenient to provide a special name, partial derivative, for all such thermodynamic property with respect to mole number at constant temperature and pressure. So we can define it as the change in the property X of a system at constant pressure and temperature when 1 mole of a particular constituent is added to such a large quantity of a system so that the added mole does not affect the composition of the system. Suppose we want to define partial molar volume, then we have to simply change X by V. Means change in volume with change in some particular component will nothing but the partial molar volume. Surely it will be at constant pressure, temperature and all other moles. That will be the partial molar volume denoted by Vi if it is for ith component, and bar. Bar indicates partial molar volume. Similarly, if I want to check partial molar free energy, I have to see the differentiation del G by del Ni at all these constant parameters. So it will be represented by Gi bar. But whenever we consider this Gi bar, we call it as a chemical potential, that is mu I. This is mu I, that is equal to Gi bar. This is free energy. This is partial molar free energy, and this partial molar free energy is indicated by mu I, that is equal to chemical potential. The chemical potential, that is the change in free energy when one of the component, I component, suppose it is added to large quantity of a system at constant pressure and temperature, keeping also the number of moles of other component constant. Now chemical potential mu, it is an intensive property. It is the property which determines the reactivity of the system. A change in system at constant pressure and temperature will proceed from a state of higher chemical potential to a lower chemical potential. Its value is uniform throughout the system. What are other characteristics of this chemical potential? It has a tendency to diffuse, means it is the tendency of particles to escape or diffuse into the atmosphere. This is when carrying out a reaction and a thermodynamic function. It determines the balance of this. This is the energy change experienced by the system by adding a particle when it is at constant volume and entropy. And the thermodynamic criteria of phase equilibrium is mu alpha is equal to mu b. Alpha and beta are two phases, mu are chemical potential, and when we say that it is in equilibrium, two phases are in equilibrium, that means thermodynamically mu of alpha is equal to mu of beta. That means chemical potential of both the phases are equal. Now we will see the relationship among partial molar properties of a single component. When we consider it as a single component, we know that the equation reduces to this. One component del G minus SdT plus VdP. So we know that del G by del T minus S, del G by del P, V. But when we consider it for different component system, then we have to consider all these number of constituents also. So along with these two terms, we have to add all these terms also. But here we can successfully keep del G by del N1 as mu1, del G by del N2 as mu2, del G by del Ni as mu I, because we have already introduced the term of chemical potential. Now what happens at constant temperature pressure? Again these two terms will vanish and we will simply get this equation. If we try to integrate this equation, we will come to G of Pt, that is equal to mu n1 plus mu2 n2. Now when we we will see the general differentiation of this equation. We will see first function derivative of second plus second function derivative of first. By applying this rule, we will see the value of dg. When we rearrange these two equations and combine the terms of dni and dμi, and when we compare it with the previous dg expression, we will see that this expression, this is dg, this is also dg. That means dg is equal to dg plus something. So that means this something should vanish. That means ni dμ1 plus n2 dμ2, it will be 0. In general, we can say summation of all such ni dμi, summation of all such ni dμi, that will be equal to 0. And this is nothing but the Gibbs-Duhem equation at constant temperature and pressure. This equation shows that in a two-component system, only one of the chemical potential can vary independently at constant temperature and pressure. It is very important in the study of chemical potential of binary system solutions, liquid-vapor equilibria, phase equilibria, etc. For two-component systems, Gibbs-Duhem equation becomes, we know that this is the equation which we have derived just. We know that dμ1 will be, this equation will take this form. What does this indicates? This shows that the change of chemical potential of one component brings about the change in chemical potential of other component. Negative sign, it indicates that if chemical potential of one component increases, then that of other will decrease. That is, variation in chemical potential of one component affects the value of other component. But the total sum of chemical potential, it will be always 0. Now what are the various applications of this Gibbs-Duhem equation in solution thermodynamics? There are so many applications. In the absence, suppose we don't have complete experimental data on the properties of solution, then Gibbs-Duhem equation may be used to calculate additional properties. For example, if experimental data are available for activity coefficient of one of the component, in binary solution, over the certain concentration range, then the activity coefficient of other component over the same composition range, it can be estimated using Gibbs-Duhem equation. This is particularly useful when volatility of two components differ. The measurement usually gives the activity coefficient of more volatile component, whereas that of less volatile component is calculated using the equations. Thermodynamic properties of some high boiling liquids dissolved in volatile liquid, it can be computed by measuring the partial pressure. Then thermodynamics consistency of experimental data, it can be tested using Gibbs-Duhem equation. If the data on partial molar property is measured correctly in the experiment, it satisfies Gibbs-Duhem equation, it is likely that they are reliable. If they do not satisfy Gibbs-Duhem equation, it is certain that they are incorrect. Then Gibbs-Duhem equation can be used for the calculation of partial pressure from isothermal total pressure data. Suppose that in experimental investigation of vapor-liquid equilibrium, the total pressure are measured, the Gibbs-Duhem equation is useful in the calculation of composition of other phase, thereby reducing the experimental work considerably. Partial pressure data can be obtained from isobaric boiling point data using Gibbs-Duhem equation. The isobaric Tx data can be easily converted to xy data. These equations and applications are useful in various other situations, such as the deviation of the relationship and Henry's law and Raoult's law for a real solution, in proving the essential criteria that the vapor pressure and the liquid composition are same for azeotropic mixture and etc. Now we will see how this chemical potential vary with temperature and pressure. Suppose, first, variation of chemical potential with temperature. We know that chemical potential is mu I. That is nothing but a partial molar free energy. Means change in free energy with Ni constituent at constant pressure, temperature and other constituents. If we differentiate it with respect to temperature, as we have to see its variation with temperature, that's why we have to see del mu I by del T. Means we have to differentiate this with respect to temperature. So this. That means del 2G by del T del Ni. We can exchange these terms and we get del Ni by del T. Again we will say, if we separate it, we get one term del G by del T, which we have just seen, it is minus S. That means what we are getting, minus times del S by del Ni. Minus times del S by del Ni. What is this? It is the change in entropy of the system with the change in one of the constituent. Isn't it a partial molar property? Yes, it is partial molar entropy, and that's why we call it as minus Si. So we can say that del mu I with del T is minus Si. That is rate of change of chemical potential with respect to temperature of any component decreases with partial molar entropy at constant pressure and composition. Now about the graph. This graph, it shows the change in chemical potential for a system that is being warmed up from solid state through the liquid state and finally into the gas state. Note that the slope is steeper for gas than for liquid and steeper for solid. This comes from the fact that the molar entropy is highest for the gas and lowest for the solid. Now, follow the diagram from solid phase into liquid into gas. As long as there is no kinetic barrier to the transition, there is a different state liquid available to it in this region. And the solid will spontaneously change to liquid and thus lowering its chemical potential. Applying the same logic for a phase change in the other direction of the liquid is cooled down without freezing, its chemical potential, it is clearly higher than that of solid phase. So the spontaneous phase change in the region below the temperature. We can use this logic for all phase changes which occurs in different processes. Now we will see the variation of chemical potential with pressure. Again, this is chemical potential, that means partial molar free energy, that means change in free energy with respect to one constituent at all other parameters constant. When we have to see its variation with pressure, naturally we have to see del mu by del P. That means we have to differentiate this term with respect to pressure. So this one. That means again del 2G by del P del Ni. That means we can again exchange the terms del Ni by del P. Again we get the term del G by del P, which we have seen as V. What does this indicate? It says del V by del Ni. Means change in volume with respect to one of the constituent. That means partial molar volume Vi bar. So we can conclude that del mu I by del P is nothing but Vi bar. This signifies that rate of change of chemical potential with respect to pressure of any component is equal to partial molar volume at constant temperature and composition. Again, we can see that slope, it is equal to del mu by del P. That's why it is molar volume. Since molar volume is always positive, so slope will be positive and steepest for gases. If we trace the chemical potential, as we increase the density if we increase the pressure at constant temperature, we see that the system passes through gas, liquid and then solid. Now, we know that most materials experience an elevation in melting point when there is an increase in external pressure. In other words, as we squeeze on a substance, it will tend to freeze at higher temperature. This works for most materials except water, where the reverse trend happens. This is due to the molar volume difference between liquid and solid phases. As the system experiences an increase in pressure, the chemical potential will change depending on the molar volume. Thus, in this figure, we see that the molar volume of the liquid is greater than that of solid, and hence increase in molar volume is greater for liquid than that of solid. This results in an increase in the melting point. In B, solids chemical potential increases more and resulting in a lower melting point. Now, about the chemical potential when applied to the ideal and real system, this we will going to study in the next talk.